How do the sacraments of marriage and holy orders help people be more self-giving? How do they help people experience God's love more fully?
Well, orders and matrimony are both sacraments of vocation.
In both cases, I think, you learn from marriage that, it is a two-way street. It's not a 50-50, it's 100%, 100%.
In both ways, you've got a stable, consistent, lifelong, and in some cases, for eternity, like in the priesthood, gift of self.
In the sacrament of holy orders, the priest is called to lay down his life in service to his bride, which is the church, the bride of Christ. And in doing so, he receives from the Father the gift of his Son and shares his Son with him through the sacraments and the sacramental life.
Being ordained holy orders allows me to also give myself in a special way to our Lord. I become as a deacon, I become a servant at the table. So I actually serve, and I become the feet, the hands, and the arms of our Lord in reaching out. Very similar to what I think Jesus Christ did in his ministry.
By living out these sacraments we end up doing nothing but giving of ourselves.
How do you see yourself serving others in your vocation?
In my vocation, I don't know if I see myself as serving others, but I hope that I am serving others by following the call of Christ, which is through the sacraments, to give them Christ, to give them grace as an instrument of God.
And you find yourself in situations where you are serving the people of God in the parish and in the community or wherever you're at.
It comes in a couple of ways. First of all, with my wife Jane, Victoria, Patrick, and Eric, I serve those guys in being there for those guys, supporting them, putting a roof over their head, taking care of those guys, being present so that I listen.
I counsel people and I listen to their joys and their sorrows and their problems and their victories, but most importantly in the sacraments.
How did you know you were called to the diaconate or marriage?
Okay, the diaconate was kind of funny. I was sitting in adoration and I was doing Bible roulette, and what opened up to me that particular day was Jesus' call to the disciples at the Sea of Galilee. I realized that he was calling me for something.
Well, marriage was simple. My wife came down the stairs at a dance up at North Georgia College, and at that point I knew I was called to marriage to Jane, so that was a snap and it was there.
I knew I was called to the priesthood after reading Veritatis Splendor by Pope John Paul II and entering into prayer, and in that prayer asking God, what do you want me to do? And at that time God, in my deepest interior, said, I would like you to be a priest. I call you to be a priest. And he always gives us permission. He would allow us to say no or say yes. And because of the great consolations he gave me at the beginning, I said yes.
My off and on discernment, ultimately what it boiled down to was whatever it was, wherever I was, whatever path I was on that gave me peace and joy. Those two things were where I continued and pushed through, and ultimately that led to the priesthood.
What advice would you give to teens struggling to discern their vocation?
The first one is to listen, pray, keep your mind open so that you've got the opportunity to hear. You're really not going to understand what your calling is, what you're going to end up doing if you're wrapped up in the noise of things.
Most importantly, enjoy life, because God doesn't give you a vocation to stress about and to sleep over and to be miserable about. If you're really enjoying life, which is to say being holy and enjoying life, your vocation will be revealed to you.
I would invite them to deepen their prayer, to stay in a state of grace through going to the sacrament of reconciliation frequently, to receive communion regularly, and to just remain open to that reality. To just say, God, whatever you will, carve out a path for me to do it.
Just start. Don't fall into this cycle of perpetual discernment where, what are you doing? Oh, I'm discerning. I haven't decided yet because God hasn't written me a handwritten note that says you're going to do this. Just start working towards the most generous vocation and then scale back if you find you can't do it. Ladies, for you, that means discern the religious life. Try out, go and visit convents or monasteries, and if that doesn't work for you, then just find the next thing. And for guys, discern the priesthood. Even go to the seminary, and if it doesn't work for you, that's okay, nothing lost. But if you don't reach for the heavens, you won't ever know if you're tall enough to grab a hold of them.